Hello, viewers. Welcome to the Missing Links Entrepreneur Spotlight, episode number 6. I have on the show with me today somebody who is extremely delightful, charismatic, and it's kind of a first-time guest who I have known prior to being on the show. Welcome. Thanks for being on the show, Sam. Please go ahead, and if you can be so kind to introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam Anand. And warm greetings to all ML viewers and readers. I am Lishi Sampath. I passed out in the year 96. I studied mechanical engineering. And post that, I went to media school in the Jeffrey or Conway School of Broadcast and Communications in Canada. And graduating from there, came back to India, and I had a choice of either branching into video journalism or to start a production facility. My choice was to start a production facility and get into television production. And so we started a studio by name His Majesty's Voice in Madurai, and we soon outgrew Madurai, shifted to Chennai. And since then, I've been in the media field now for 22 years. Today, I lead the Expression Petra 7 Network, which is a media production company. Apart from that, I am also a family counselor. I go by the expression Lishi Sampath Ministries. You can find me at lishiandsampath.org. And I'm also a vlogger, YouTuber under the expression Sam Lishi Vlogs.
So if somebody wanted to explore one of these avenues, how do they go about choosing, hey, I want a blog, I want a YouTube vlog, podcast? Is there some criteria how they would go about it?
Okay. See, we can all summarize it, or we can lay the foundation in these two things: audio, visual communication. Now, that is exactly how God started to communicate to man. If I can pull a leaf from the Bible, say when God wanted to speak a prophecy to Abraham, he showed him the skies and he said, look at the stars, right? And then your descendants will be like those numbers that you cannot even count, or the sands of the beach, right? So there is audio and visual. And more than often we find this expression, then the word of the Lord came to me. Now that is pure audio communication. And if that is coupled with the vision, then it becomes audio visual communication. So that has been the way in which, communication has been either from man to man or God to man. So the basic is audio-visual communication. And then after that, as mankind grew, communication was two-faceted. One was written communication, and the second was pictorial communications, paintings. So paintings is a powerful way of communicating piece of history. You go to Ajanta and Ellora paintings, it talks about a timeline, a chronology, entirely communicated in those paintings. Totally, if you find excavations and graffitis, the Mohenjo-daro Harappa civilization and all that. So pictorial communication has been there for many, many, many ages. So one way or the other, when you talk about modern terms like vlogging, blogging, or podcasting, it is all in this realm of audio-visual communication, right? So categorizing these three specifically, which is in vogue today, right? Added to that is the news media and the print media. So these are the 5 facets that you can see as communication. Blogging is basically the power of written communication, right? Now, there is a spoken language, and then there is a written language. In Tamil, we say, Pechu Tamil, Eluthu Tamil. Okay, so the power of the written language has its own place to impact its readers. So blogging is well suited for somebody who has the gift of written communication. They're good with words, they're good with paraphrasing, they're able to build a picture with just black and white letters. So that is the place where, if you find your strength with written communication, then you can start with blogging. Vlogging is basically the power of spoken communication. So here, the, the talent comes into place. Okay, the voice modulation, how you convey, facial expression, the eyes speak, right? Facial expression speaks. Now you can
Right.
have a great story, and if you don't have any expression on your face, now it's not going to, really convey either the sorrow, the joy, or the real meaning of whatever you want to. So if somebody is gifted with their words, their
Right.
spoken words, then vlogging is something that can really suit them. Now, podcasting. Now, if you will go a little more technical, each one of these types of communications affect a different part of your brain. In 12th standard, all of us can remember the 12 cranial nerves: olfactor, oculomotor, trigonal. The 12 that we mugged up. Now, you should know that each one affects a different part of your brain and stimulates your response. Now, podcasting is a very, very special place, and I will call it the power of narration. What David Attenborough could do with his narrative skills. Oh my goodness. His voiceover brought an entire Christendom to life. And even though the visuals are stunning and the natural ambience, the forest and the sounds are so very, invoking. And then when he speaks and narrates, the whole thing comes to life. You're part of it. You're running along those wild horses, and you're flying with those herds of birds. And even an imaginary world like the Jurassic Park comes to life. Okay, so I would say podcasting is the power of narration.
Okay.
So there, the language does not matter. Somebody can even convey, the meaning of what they're trying to convey in a broken language. But if they have a powerful narrative, then podcasting, because podcasting is totally the imagination. You don't see anything. You're driving a car and you're just hearing a voice, like coming out of a radio.
Right.
And your eyes are engaged on the road, right? You're still driving. Say if you live in the US like you do, podcasts are part and parcel of each one's life, right? There are millions of subscribers to podcasts. And when do they listen to those podcasts? When they're traveling in the train or driving their car. So they are actually engaged physically in something else. All their senses are engaged. And even in the midst of all that, the power of narration, the powerful narrative is able to capture that part of your brain and then pocket a message into it.
Yeah.
So that is the art of podcasting. And so it is not about, okay, where I fit. You already know where you fit. The whole thing comes about, okay, am I good at it? No, that is the question that everybody has in their heart. They know what they want to do, but the question they have in their heart is, am I good at it? I tell you guys, you can only be as good as you are. So get started, is what I will say. And where do I fit is not the question. You know where you fit. It's like putting on a dress and you say, yeah, it fits me, right? So the fit is not far from you. Confidence to start is where you need that push, and that push is in you. And if, say, you want to start vlogging like me, just do what I'm doing now. Put this camera right on your face. Look at that camera, that small, that glass hole where the camera is. Don't try to look at the screen. See, right now I'm looking at the camera and not the screen. And that is why I'm able to make eye contact with my audience. So I'm not even aware of how I look.
Yeah.
You get it? So vlogging especially is looking through the camera, through that small hole in your mobile phone, and then looking through, and then looking into the audience, and then expressing your heart. And you have it in you, then you start. Yes.
Wonderful. So this
Yes.
is good. Uh, that was very kind of well laid out. I haven't thought of it in those terms as you outlined. So there are things people could start it as a passion project,
Yes.
and that's great. And then what about if you decide to want to grow them into a business? How lucrative is or these if some for someone who's interested?
Okay. Okay. I will add one more synonym to the word passion is the word gift,
Hmm.
right? Gifting. So passion and gifting always go together. Okay. And nothing happens in our life without passion. Now, passion can either, that is the gifting, it can either directly translate into a monetizing form, or it can passively work in your life so that you can actively monetize in another place. I'll tell you how. Passion should either directly help you monetize. Say, for example, you are a cricketer, you're passionate about cricket, right? It should either make you a professional cricketer so that you play for a club, you get employed in a company under the sports quota, and that becomes your income, and then you set goals and you keep moving forward. Now your passion has become your profession. There is another place where I'm so interested in cricket. I do weekend, cricket. I go and play cricket in the weekend. What does that does is it builds me up. It builds my esteem, right? It builds my self confidence. It builds my motor movements. It builds my hand and eye coordination, right? In each shot I play, there is so much of mathematical equations that my brain is stimulated. I'm able to read the swing of the ball, where it pitches. And then under a second, my leg moves, my hand moves, my eyes coordinate them both, and I'm able to play a shot, right? So when I practice my passion, and it's not directly monetizing, it is building me up, it is sharpening me, and that should help me to perform better in the place where I am monetizing,
Hmm.
where I am working.
Yeah.
So passion is important. Only thing is whether it is in an active place of monetizing or in a passive place of monetization. Now, coming to these three areas that you were talking about, vlogging, blogging, and podcasts, could they become lucrative businesses? Yes. If you have heard of Mr. Beast, in YouTube, who's a sensation. I mean, he is giving away petrol bunks, hundreds of cars, hundreds of houses, because that is how he has built his business in vlogging. And there are so many vloggers who have crossed 10 million plus subscribers and earn millions of dollars and are participating, in the betterment of the community. So yes, all these three places are lucrative. The only thing you need to find is whether it does something to you or it directly relates to the audience.
Hmm.
Say, for example, my biking can either do something to me or it can directly relate to my audience. So even if I don't have any viewers with my biking and my bike vlogs, even if there is not even one viewer, every trip does something to me.
Right.
And that in turn spurs me to perform better in the place where I'm working to monetize.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
don't let go of your passion, active or passive, in terms of
That,
monetizing. Yes.
yeah. And the other thing is, interesting fact is when you're all passionate and you throw yourself in and it's authentic, people can see that.
Correct.
And it's not a put on, you're not faking it.
Correct.
So it spills over and is infectious and contagious. So
Correct.
I totally agree with that. And I think this is a good point to talk about your journey. So we talked about all this general background of the different things out there in media. And you and I were talking a little bit about changes, and in the news we hear about how COVID has changed things, and we have to readapt. But
Right.
this is nothing new. I mean, we've always had changes. We've always had to learn how to adapt. And
Correct.
you mentioned how you faced those and how you navigated those. So would you mind briefly taking us through your journey?
Yes. See, when I started my media journey, there is a precursor to that. When I went to Karunya, I found that I am good in two things. One, I have a technical side, right? I'm good at it, but my attention span that I can give to the technical side of things, say talking to a machine, working with a machine, 3 hours is fine. But an 8 hour shift was too long for me. All right. Then I also found that I'm very good in communication skills and dramatics.
Hmm.
So from the first year, we started the Dramatics Club of Karani. We all know Kala, the Karania
Hmm.
Arts and Literary Association. So
Hmm.
from my batch, we went one step further and just not culturals. Let's go hardcore dramatics.
Yep.
And so Pastor Chadwick Mohan, today's Reverend Pastor Chadwick Mohan and I, we started the Dramatics Club of Karunya. And so we did workshops on miming and, so I found that very, very interesting. And I was able to connect and communicate to a large audience
Hmm.
in one go. So I knew that was my strength too. So
Hmm.
going along, that journey in Karania was great. We culminated with, putting on a live passion play, a 3 hour passion play from birth to resurrection and ascension, in front of Bethesda. And so a lot happened in Karanya
Yeah.
in terms of dramatics
Yeah.
club too. And so passing out, I was back to machines. I was talking to machines and then programming machines, doing this and that. And the only thing is, I'm a very people person, and then the machine didn't talk back to me. It just did what I said, made it to do. So I switched to marketing, to industrial marketing. And
Hmm.
that was the most happy place, my happy place in that era, that period of
Yeah.
my life, because I get to meet a lot of people and then talk to real people. So I knew, okay, I have a skill of communication, and I don't even have a single inhibition, to sit before somebody and then to talk or to present something. I find great joy doing it. And given my field and the company and the position that I was operating in, every day I have to meet MDs and GMs and CEOs of companies because the product that I was selling was a high value capital
Hmm.
investment. So I was
Yeah.
very comfortable going
Yeah.
there. Okay. So this was a nice in between of both technical and communication skills. And God opened doors for me to go train in television media.
Hmm.
And so that was in partnership with my brother, who is an electronics and communications engineer. And he had this dream of taking over the airwaves,
Hmm.
which is the broadcast waves.
Yeah.
And we are
Yeah.
sitting in Madurai dreaming these dreams and just sitting and talking. And then God opened doors for us to go and get trained in Canada. And naturally, we were fit into that place because we already had an engineering background. And now there is the creative side that is being on. So I first trained myself in broadcast engineering, which is hardware engineering, and then graduated to communications and programming. So I did all three areas there and finished media school. And my school then recruited me to work in their television channel in Germany. So I was a video journalist at the Expo 2000 in Hanover, Germany.
Hmm.
The same expo that just ended in Dubai. The Dubai World Expo that just ended. Okay, the same 20 years back, 21 years back, I was in Hanover, Germany. And that was the window to the world.
Hmm.
There, I had the opportunity to interact with four heads of states. His Excellency Mr. Edward Shevardnadze, and then the President of Latvia, the President of Bolivia, countries that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Europe and South America. So that was another place. Now from here, I had a choice: either to
Mm.
continue as a video journalist or come back and then take over the airwaves, start production.
Right.
So I was very clear in my dream.
Mm.
And so I did not come back and apply to work in either Sun TV, or that was the only private television back then. The other
Yeah.
opening was either a Christian television or Doordarshan. But then my choice was to start production. So immediately made a trip to Singapore, bought all the equipments, and we set up our studio, our television studio in Madurai, both video and audio production studio. And we were going great. Soon we outgrew Madurai. Then we came to Chennai. We had our own facility here, and we were one among the very few top, production facilities in Chennai. Now,
Mm.
back then we were operating in analog, and analog equipments are like huge, humongous,
Yeah. Yeah.
big equipments. Not like digital. Today it's all SD card. Back then, recording tape was this big. A pneumatic tape was this big,
Yes.
and it can only do so many recordings, and then it's obsolete. So we were, going great, and then we sensed, we foresaw everything's going to change digital,
Mm.
and everything's going to become small. And
Right.
soon the studio that we have is going to be obsolete. So we then took a call and said, okay, let's exit production for now. We can re-enter it after the digital revolution has taken over. Because if we stay in this, we are just going to end up with a lot of paperweight,
Yeah.
and this is not going to be good. So we found another studio that just needed what we had, and then we integrated our facility with theirs, sold it off completely, and I turned consultant and went around setting up digital studios. We were the pioneers in setting up digital studios. Those days we were called non-linear editors, and others were called linear editors. Now there is only one
Remember that
editor.
term. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So we were the first generation non-linear editors, and we were very priced. Made good money
Yeah.
doing that,
Yeah.
and so that went along. And from then on, we have been part of this digital revolution, always trying to see ahead of the curve
Yeah.
and trying to set up our clients much before the revolution happens and everybody catches the wave. So
Yep.
that is what I've been specializing. And so I've come to a place where I specialize in a field called pre-production.
Mm.
So pre-production is, coming up with a plot. What is the demographic? Who is the audience? What is the age group that you're trying to reach to?
Yeah.
Okay. And then carefully scripting, picking up words that age group is used to.
Yeah.
The lingo that the young people speak cannot
Right.
even resonate with 45 and above.
True.
So choosing that. So that is exactly where I am, involved in right now in scripting work and
Mm.
translating multi-language translation. And so I have specialized in something called pre-production work, and on a case basis, I take a production and post-production.
Okay. So how does that relate to streaming? So when we talk about streaming now,
Right.
so when you talk about identifying a demographics, writing the script, coming up with the plot, the terminology, and all of that.
Right.
So you do that for who? Meaning, do streaming companies, could you be providing stuff, shows, ideas, show premises for streaming companies? Or let's say if I'm interested in something, I have some very fuzzy idea. Could
Okay.
I come to you and I say, hey, I want to see if I can submit this to Netflix, but I don't know how to do that.
Correct.
And I need help. Would you be
Yeah.
somebody?
That is exactly where we fit in. This is exactly the work that we do. We start
Perfect.
from copyright,
Yeah.
and to license with all the legal formalities,
Yeah.
right? Go through all that. We have a legal cell, we have an audit cell,
Mm.
okay, and then we have a lot of compliance, agreements with
Right.
agencies that certify us to, go forward with. So this is exactly what we do. Say, for example, I license with a corporate company. Okay.
Yeah.
A corporate company where I really relate is, social responsibility wing that they have.
Yeah.
Okay. So that there they engage in a lot of social awareness videos, educational videos. So when I sit with the head there and then understand what is their vision,
Hmm.
whom do they want to relate to? Say, they just say, we just want to impact farmers. They're so
Yeah.
passionate about farming. Or if they
Yeah.
say, we are so passionate about, green farming, that is, without any fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, and in natural organic farming, that is our passion. Then that is the niche in
Yeah.
which we work. And then we try to determine whom they are trying to reach to. Is
Right.
it the presenters or the end users? Okay, is it bringing awareness about organic produce to people, or do they want to relate with the farmers who already have a passion in them to start organic farming?
Right.
So we need to find out whom they really want to relate and support,
Yeah.
and then we start producing those programs. The programs that we produce for one NGO, that is into organic, helping organic farmers. Now the farmers are basically illiterates,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
So the language that needs to be used to
Yeah.
communicate to them, typical farming language, and then that changes from one geographical area to the other. But then the farmers also communicate to each other. So between them, there is a common language.
Yes.
So that is where our research comes in.
Yeah.
We catch those phrases and all that goes into the programming that we do. We actually sit on the table for 6 months to 1.5 years
Hmm.
planning the whole thing. Because once you go to production, everything is money. Every minute is money, right? All the
Right.
equipments that you're hired to shoot, everything is money. Okay. Somebody said this, and I quote, a plan when it is all done is dead. It's done. That is it.
Yeah.
You have put limits to it. You said, okay, this is what it can do. But planning is everything, right? So this is where we stretch ourselves to see if we have stretched ourselves to every boundary possible,
Hmm.
and we come up with a good iteration. And
Hmm.
then it's just like how you do your ads. Basically, all this planning goes on in an ad production, because once you engage an actress or an actor and then book a call sheet, your bank is draining money.
Money.
Yeah,
That.
it's just draining
Yeah.
out. So planning is where we said this is pre-production that I'm talking.
Yeah.
And yeah, you hit it on the nail. So if you have a concept, okay, or if you just have a seed thought,
Hmm.
then we work on conceptualizing the whole thing and then finding the right medium to reach. All right. For example, if I want to reach farmers, then television slots don't work. Say I broadcast it at 9 o'clock in the morning, at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. He's in the field working.
Right.
So we more concentrate on projectors
Hmm.
going to those villages and then beaming the story than social media, and because not all farmers are tech savvy too.
Yes.
Not all have a smartphone, and even if they do, net connection,
Yes.
right? So many limitations. So understanding, okay, television is great, but it does not reach to every strata, especially the farming. I mean, I'm just hitting on the farming community because I took it as
Right.
an example.
An
Right?
example. Yeah. Yeah. And this is interesting when you say that the farmers have their own language.
Correct.
Uh, I'd say we all do for all occupation. If you go into a software group,
Correct.
there's a certain vernacular and there's a certain vocabulary they use. And you sitting among doctors, this is a social gathering, but or the lawyers or real estate agents or teachers or kindergarten teachers.
Correct.
Their vocabulary, their vernacular, the way they see the world, the way they even approach how they solve problems, somehow, I think, and I think it's just natural because they do this thing day in and day out. They gravitate towards what they're most familiar with,
Correct.
and they start with that template, right? And say,
Correct.
how do I do this? I also have some people like at work, if they're used to one sort of approach and template for project planning, they want to first go to the one that they're very comfortable with. They want to
Correct.
start with that template before
Correct.
they even change. And so someone says, no, let's use another tool, another thing. They squirm. I said, yeah, don't put me. Then I thought, this is true. If I notice it in that one little thing, then imagine professions. So when you say farmers have a vernacular and they live by that code, and then it is up to us if we are trying to teach them, instead of expecting them to learn our language or vocabulary, that we have to go to them and translate it to their
Exactly.
language,
Yes.
right? So what vision do you have for your company and for yourself to take it to? Is there a place you want to take it to?
Yeah. And then my growth trajectory as a production company, as a production facility, I have to travel with the change that happens in this field.
Right.
This field is just constantly changing. If it is my own production, then the vision is different. But as a service organization, then my foresight is to see as far as possible to what changes are going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
And be ahead of the curve. So when the change is starting to happen, that is when I go with my service package and I say, no, this is what I can offer to you. Look around the corner, that's going to happen. For
So,
example, we've been working with people, talking to people about OTT platform since, when. See, television is linear, all right? At 6 o'clock, you get this program, okay? Now, streaming is non-linear. I can access a 6 o'clock program at any time later.
right.
So OTT is a non-linear platform. It doesn't go with time and the program. Okay. All of the day's program can be uploaded, and I have the leisure of viewing any program during any time of the day. So
Yeah.
we have been talking to television stations to go OTT since 5-6 years. We were talking about Netflix being a revolution in the West, and all those OTT platforms being such a revolution in the West, and been educating and then pulling them into getting into the OTT platform. Those who listened to us earlier are already reaping the benefits. Yeah. And actually, tomorrow I'm going to sit tomorrow I'm going to sit in a meeting where a television station is planning to fast track their entry into OTT because they know that they are way behind.
Yeah.
Way behind. So this is where I try to be ahead of the curve. So that is my race, and constantly I keep learning. For example, this. One way of learning is getting familiar with gadgets, with concept, and with the software that is associated with it. The gimbal that I'm using in my vlogging now, I bought it around 1.5 years back before I started vlogging. Not that I wanted to vlog, I wanted to study the gimbal. So I bought the gimbal, and I've been looking at the gimbal. I'll take the gimbal every day morning, okay? And
For the benefit of the viewers, tell us what a gimbal is. There may be people who don't know, right?
Oh yes, I can bring the gimbal if you can give me a moment. Can you do that?
Sure. That would be exciting.
Yeah, I'm holding in my hand Zhiyun. So I'm holding in my hand Zhiyun Smooth 4. Okay, this is one of the best cell phone gimbals that you can use. So gimbal is basically a stabilizer. It stabilizes your shot, and basically there are three motors with a gimbal. Sorry, yes, three motors. Yeah. So this is your first motor. This is your second, and then back there is a third motor. So between them, they toggle the X, Y, and the Z axis, and then give you a steady shot. So this is layman's term, all right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I bought this gimbal way before I started vlogging, just to
Mm.
study the gadget and then
Yeah.
create an imagination in me, right?
Right.
What kind of shots are possible,
Yes.
right? Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, as a dancer, I can imagine myself dancing any way I can. Correct. I can imagine. Then I try to produce it in the natural, in the physical,
Yep.
like the
Yeah.
steps and all that. So similar way, you can imagine any shot you want to take, and then see how the gimbal can move and help you take the shot. Okay. Let me show you how it works. So this is a cell phone which goes into the slot here. Usually when I'm just trying to take it with the cell phone with my hand, okay, the shake and all is there.
Right.
So now when I open up the gimbal, it gives me a steady, I can move the gimbal any way I want.
Yeah. And it still
And
stays steady.
correct.
Right.
So if you see my running vlogs, I use the gimbal right before my face and I run. I keep talking to the camera and I run, I still get a steady shot. People thought somebody is following me in a motorbike, shooting
Mm.
the whole thing. No, it's been a one-man army from the beginning. Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason why I got this gimbal is just to study the gimbal, what it can do to me, what kind of
Correct.
shots I
Yeah.
can take. And I've been studying this gimbal for 1.5 years. So every day morning, I'll put my cell phone and press record. And then, just like practicing photography. Videography is something that we practice. So just move, take a shot, and do all kinds of things. And then I can do a double action of myself in the same frame. Okay, fix the camera, and then that is a background. And
Yeah.
then I can be in one side, and then
Yep.
pass, go, record my. I can do a double action, to, fro. All these actions can be supported. I'm looking at you here, and then quickly move here. Okay, this moment and then the next shot. So see, these are all. Now
Lots
I'm
of things.
imagining. Correct. I'm imagining and I'm talking. Okay. Now when I
Yeah.
imagine and I speak, you can half understand it. But when I do the entire thing in video, then you say, oh, this is what you were trying to think and imagine. So this is what I do. I keep collecting gadgets
Yeah.
and softwares.
Teaches you, because there's one thing, you can have an idea and you can go look for equipment that can help execute an idea that you have conceived.
Correct.
But there's also something, you go to a gadget and the gadget tells you, I can do all these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you reverse it and say, you know what? That I didn't think of that.
That's reverse engineering. It now expands your boundaries in the imagination.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow,
Yeah, you just think of it as a dumb equipment, but it's not. I mean, it can actually be something that stimulates you. So that's pretty cool. How much is that toy cost around the range?
In Indian rupees, when I bought this, it was 11 grams in Indian rupees. It was 11 grams. And now, the next version has come. I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
If I'm good with this and, I've experimented all that I can with this. And if the other version offers me a new experiment, then, I sell this and then I buy that.
Yeah.
So this is one thing I keep doing to stay ahead of the curve. I keep learning. It's like a doctor who keeps updating his, medical journey. And so that's exactly how media is. You need to keep updating.
So what is coming next? Since you stay ahead of the curve, you saw OTT coming, you saw digital revolution coming. What do you see coming post-COVID?
Okay, now there is a few things in the pipeline that is not much in the news. Okay, there's Internet 5 and then there's Internet 6 that is coming. And that is revolutionary.
This is like Mission Impossible 7, Mission Impossible 8.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming at the same time. So you have 7 and 8.
Yeah. And they're all in test mode with, the military bases right now. And then when it comes to civilian use,
Yeah.
We're going to be amazed with holograms and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's all coming, but this phase is going to prolong for some time. So I'm really
Mm.
comfortable to start a project now, and I can say that I can stretch it for 10 years
Mm.
and keep evolving into different mediums of broadcasting. The same
Okay.
content can be. Now, today you cannot do something with analog equipment anymore.
Right.
Analog is absolutely dead,
Yes.
buried. But with
Yep.
digital equipment, you still have around 10 years of it.
Okay.
So now when we plan a production facility, the costing, the budget is, something that you work where you take back your money, break even
Yeah.
in 3, and then have around 7 years of solid profit making time. So 10 years is the vision time for this period now.
This technology. So
This
we
technology.
don't know yet what next is, but we know that this is likely to last for another decade.
Last one. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Because
So,
of the investment. See, for example, there are technology that has already come, but it won't be released for civilian use yet because the hardware manufacturers have sunk in millions, billions,
correct. Correct.
to the current technology and the hardware that they are producing. So you need to give it a little more lifetime
True.
before you transition into
Yeah. To phase
that.
this, you cannot.
Yes, phase this off. Correct. Phase this off. Correct. Yes.
That's true. So is there any resources that you would, anyone who's interested in exploring some of these technology or ideas
Correct.
or
There,
what
there
you
is,
do?
there is a magazine by name Videography.
Okay.
That is the big daddy. I'm a regular subscriber and reader of that magazine. If you will see this, Anand, the first cell phone was prototyped in the year 1963. 1963, the first cell phone, a phone that you can carry in your pocket with the camera.
Yeah.
With the camera. 63. But then to bring it to operation took a lot of time because you had to phase out so much of redundant technology that is in the way. Right now there are towers that are standing so tall.
Yeah.
And we need to finish the cycle of it making its money before you transition into the next technology. So there are a lot of things that are, I won't say experimental stage, it is in the military stage. First, when a technology comes to fruition, it is tried in the military area. Yeah. So once they cross into the next realm is when it comes to civilian use. I keep watching the standards. See, IEEE is the standard.
Yeah.
Correct? So I keep watching the standard and I keep reading their journals. What are they proposing next? For example, the USB Type-C, I was aware of it even much before it came into the market.
And then you also go to symposiums or conferences.
Correct.
And demos, exhibitions. I think where they do what's coming. And you do some of that, I think, with the bikes. I want to mention, congratulations. You went and launched one of the Royal Enfield. What was that model that you launched?
I launched two, actually. The first that I launched was the Classic 350, the Reborn Classic 350, which is the most popular flagship model of Royal Enfield, India. And recently I launched the Scram 411, Himalayan Scram 411, which is a road and an off-road bike.
Yeah, so you're becoming a big name celebrity in the world of bikes then, right?
Oh, I wish.
Because I also heard there were some film stars also who accompanied you on those.
No, I accompanied the film star. Let's keep that record straight. I accompanied Miss Kirti Pandian, who was an actress, and I was co-host, with her. So that's how. Not co-host, co-presenter. What do you call that? I was co-her.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Yeah, but still, that's quite something. So I want to thank you for your time and for all that you shared with us. Hopefully, the viewers found this interesting, found this fascinating, informative, and now we know we have Mr. Lishi there, And what we'll do is we will include in the Missing Link magazine some of the URLs.
Yes.
So if you want to follow up and know more about it, you can
Okay.
most definitely do that. So with that, thanks, Sam. And
Yes.
thank you, viewers. Thank you for watching. Be safe, be well, and remember, the world needs your light. God bless.
God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Go to previous Missing Link issues at repthemissinglink.com for earlier episodes. Thank you for watching this episode.